Hello everyone, welcome back to Touch the Fire Twice. I'm Joshua and I'm here today to do a Bath & Body Works White Barn Candle Company candle haul and review, a small fall haul, early fall, hence the flannel, even though it is like 100 degrees outside right now. I'm manifesting fall to come sooner than later. I need the autumnal vibes, so hence the indoor only flannel for today. But before we get into the haul and review, if you're new to Touch the Fire Twice, welcome. My mission here is to share my love and passion for fine home fragrance as an enthusiast, an educator, a reviewer, to inspire you to increase your own fragrance knowledge and understanding, ultimately enhancing the scent memories that you create. If you want to learn more about what I do, why I do it, how I do it, you can check out my website at TouchTheFireTwice.com and give me a follow over on Instagram, also at TouchTheFireTwice. But as you saw in the thumbnail, let's dig into this small fall, early fall haul and review. I only purchased 4 candles. I've got to say, the early launch of fall, which frankly, again, we're talking July, it is very early, there's much to come still, but early on, it's mostly returning favorites or returning not so favorites in some cases for us. And a lot of them I really don't need to purchase because I've got plenty in storage in my, collection that I can pull out a sweater weather or pull out a pumpkin apple or pull out a leaves or many, many, many more as far as what I'm going to burn in the coming months. But there were some I wanted to get. There were new ones that I wanted to try. I was tempted to purchase, but there were none that were slam dunks for me that I was really excited that either vault candles coming back, like we had last year's Blueberry Pumpkin Patch, which you can check out the review here when I did a really, perhaps overly in-depth historical view of Blueberry Pumpkin Patch, which is a great fragrance that came out way back when and then returned last year and seemingly will not come back this year. So let's dig right in with the first fragrance that perhaps is what folks were excited about early on, and that is Mixed Berry Crumble. It's from this, again, early fall collection. I think the art direction, not really my style, but still cute. It kind of looks like they put essentially a stencil down and then powdered sugar on top of it and then lifted up, so in the shape of a whisk and a blueberry and I suppose a blackberry there. Kind of a cute design aesthetic. It's the full wraparound labels, the solid colors. You've got white wax on all of them and sort of a grayish matte lid. It works. Normally I would say these collections, the transitional collections, are often priced at $24.95. These are at $26.95, I suppose because they have the wraparound labels. That tends to be where we get the 24 versus 26, although who's to say if we'll get $24.95 candles at all the rest of this year. So Mixed Berry Crumble. Notes are freshly picked berries, buttery crumble topping, and cinnamon sugar. Okay, so that's not telling us a whole lot what berries. So you're gonna assume blueberry, blackberry, raspberry maybe. We're looking like, if we go by the label, I see blueberries, probably a raspberry or blackberry, I think actually blackberry, and a strawberry. They probably just use a general mix of berries, so no one can really decipher exactly what is in there. And then a crumble topping, as a crumble would be, and then cinnamon sugar, which would be part of that crumble topping. So expecting it to be an autumnal bakery fragrance. And I think a lot of folks going in were thinking this is probably a repackage of a scent that has been around before, because there's been many variations of bakery berry fragrances from Bath & Body Works over the years. And getting my nose on it, it very well could be. I'm not the biggest bakery fan, though I do purchase, obviously, some. When it comes to like apple crumble or really some amazing ones they've had over the years, and Blueberry Pumpkin Patch, which I consider almost bakery. Really, really great, but a lot of times they're just not my absolute favorite. And I do think that this is in the realm of like the Wild Berry Jam Donut, which I think has had a couple different iterations and names over the years or repackages. Though I don't think it's probably exactly that. Someone may correct me. On cold, it's pretty boring. If I'm honest, don't know if I would have purchased it if it wasn't for the haul and review, because you just get sort of borderline artificial berry, more berry than crumble. There really isn't much, at least on cold, of a true, buttery crumble topping, cinnamon sugar. Don't really get cinnamon spice in here. Don't really get a buttery gourmand baked good, like a crust or a crumble that might have oats in it and brown sugar and cinnamon. Sometimes you have a little bit of clove or nutmeg in there. There really isn't, it doesn't seem like a baked good. If anything, it could be like a baked berry that you'd put in a dish and put like ice cream on or something that doesn't have as much of the spicy, crumble, crusty, baked aspect. But what is interesting is I only burned it twice, I wanna say, and it actually took a little while to pull out. The edges, you can see even here, there's like a little bit of an edge that really struggled a bit, and I made sure to get wicks that were centered. One thing I will say about Bath & Body Works the past year probably is that they have a lot of issues with their, I'm assuming, machine-placed wicks, because sometimes there'll just be one that is way far over and you don't have as good of a burn if they're not truly evenly spaced in that triangular formation. And so I actually did this as $12.95 candle sale, buy online, pick up in store, because the in-store prices were regular priced. And I actually say, when I do that now, when I pick up, I say, hey, can I check out the wicks really quick and just swap them out rather than doing an exchange later, just if they're a little bit off center. And usually they're either confused or they don't care, they let me. And this one I did have to swap out for one that was centered, because the other one was just like wonky. All that to say, burning it, I was kind of surprised, because I actually think that this reminds me a lot of a Homeworks fragrance that I bought a couple of a few years ago, kind of the tail end of my time of purchasing Homeworks, though I still have plenty in the collection to burn through, and that is Berry Pumpkin Waffles. The notes in that one, I believe, are berry, pumpkin, waffles, cinnamon, clove, nutmeg. Doesn't exactly match this, but I will say, with that candle as well, which I don't know that I did, maybe it was in a haul, I'm pretty sure I didn't do an in-depth sniff single comparison review on it, but that one is also heavily berry, not much in the way of pumpkin at all, other than the spices, and not a ton, certainly not waffle, but some sort of bakery warming spice, essence to it, with some almost fresh berries, not like a gooey cooked berry, but almost more of a fresh berry, just baked, I suppose. And this really, at least on the two burns I had that same kind of, it's hard to really put into words. It reminded me a lot. It's sort of like their version of Berry Pumpkin Waffles, in my opinion. I don't really get much in the way of spices. So it's not fall, other than if you want to consider a bakery fragrance to be fall. There is a little bit of, it doesn't really smell like fresh waffles, like if you go into an ice cream shop that has waffle cones that they just freshly made. But there's something to it, almost, this is gonna sound crazy, but almost like a bit of a tiny bit of almost a yeasty aspect, which would be like more of a cinnamon bun, or if it was a yeasted waffle, which yeasted waffles are really delicious. Let them, sit overnight and then they can be really, really nice. But I suppose that yeasty aspect could just be the sharpness from the berries I'm getting. All that to say, it's inoffensive, it's straightforward. I will try to burn through it. I won't return it because there's nothing, wrong with it. And maybe I just like it because it reminded me a little bit of the Berry Pumpkin Waffles, though that was probably a bit stronger and better. But I also only purchased, I think, 2 of those in a set and didn't purchase more. And the final thing I'll say on this is getting my nose over it. It was kind of struggling to really get a strong scent, but then I was in the shower and I caught a whiff of it. So it does travel. It has okay throw and projection. I think some folks will really enjoy it. Maybe it's better for layering, but it's by no means a slam dunk when it comes to the name being accurate or the fragrance being anything that special. Then let's go to this other, I believe, new fragrance that may have been out last year as well, and that is in the Neutrals collection, Cranberry and Gala Apple. Notes on this one: Gala Apple, tart cranberry, and pinch of cinnamon. Getting my nose right on this one. This leans not quite holiday, kind of holiday, almost winter to me. And the primary reason, I'll jump right to it, is the cranberry in here is not a cooked cranberry, not a mulled spiced cranberry, like there have been some really nice cranberry scents over the years of Bath & Body Works, though they typically end up being one and done, and they don't bring them back when they're really a hit. I love cranberry fragrances. I think they can be bright, fresh, tart, pop, frosted, meaning like, snowy, cold, not frosting. Or they can be warm, comforting, foodie Thanksgiving style of cranberries. And this one is very, very much in the frosted cranberry candle type of cranberry. It is that very fresh, tart, yes, but still in it's odd because it's fresh and bright, but kind of still leans in the potpourri, welcome home, 1992 Joanne Fabric, cranberry, apple, cinnamon stick, potpourri bundle that you may have smelled. And like so many candles that are like that, but not super unique either. And so I get a lot of the type of cranberry that is in the frosted cranberry, which is not, let's say, an edible cranberry, but more just like a dried conceptual cranberry in a sense. Sharp, tart, bright, fresh. I like that. Apple, it's almost, there's a floral or powdery aspect to this that makes it lean almost towards like a body care or kind of perfume or something. So the apple is, that powderiness, there's gotta be something else in here, I'm not sure what it is. Almost like a background of like a tonka or vanilla, or a bit of some sort of maybe like amber or musk even, without calling it out here. But a freshness as well, almost like now that I'm getting it, the powderiness is almost like a freshness that you get in some of like the linen or laundry or cotton candles. We actually have a special visitor right now. So, oh, no, we don't? Okay. You wanna come over and say hi? You wanna say hi, Bee? Come here. Come here, babes. Oh, we actually have a special visitor who came to help with the review, Miss Beatrice Dijon. She doesn't make many appearances, but she's making an appearance now. I feel like Melanie, Mr. Kong's mom, when she has Alf, her pug, in her lap in the videos, and Beatrice just wanted to come. And you can say hi to everyone, Bea. You good? She actually wanted to smell the cranberry and Gala apple. What do we think? What does our nose say? Oh, no, you're not a fan. No. Are you uncomfortable? Oh, I can put you down. Oh, she's an old woman. She's a big old woman. Not big, she's an old woman. A woman of a certain age, right, Beatrice? That's my good girl. Okay, back to the cranberry and Gala apple candle. There's almost like a powdery freshness, like a laundry candle almost. But that could be just the dried aspect coming through. Think almost borderline potpourri. Apple, not a fresh apple, not a juicy apple. Almost like if you've got dried apples, apple chips that have some cinnamon on them, and there's that dried apple skin fragrance. That's more the apple that I get in here. Not so much a fresh apple. And cinnamon, there's spiciness that I suppose is cinnamon, but I wouldn't clock it as, it's not a red hot cinnamon. It's spicy, but kind of a generic spice. So I think this is okay. Your pumpkin apple is gonna be better. Your later down the road, 'tis the season is gonna be better. Frosted cranberry with a bit of a citrus hit to it is gonna be better. It's very much a one and done. I almost wish I hadn't burned it. I wanted to see what it was like. It didn't have the strongest throw either. I had it burning for a few hours, pulled well, didn't really travel far considering it's kind of strong on cold to the nose. So it's actually a miss for me. I would like the idea of a true apple cranberry blend, but that's really not the kind I would prefer. Let's go to two more. We'll stick in the cranberry theme here and we'll talk about Cranberry Woods. This first came out, I want to say it was 2009, 8, 9, 10, something like that. It had a beautiful label on it. It was like dark purple woods with this color, kind of a maroon, Merlot, sunset in the background. Simple but really beautiful when they did the Slacken & Co. and photo-realistic labels at Bath & Body Works. And it has a heavy cranberry, smoldering woods, just really mature, this evocative, woodsy, dark, smoldering cedar, dark, juicy, luscious berry fragrance that was so sophisticated and conceptual and mature, and I loved it for many years. And then sometime in the past 5-ish years, it started to smell just like juicy juice, like cranberry juice cocktail. Like they really either couldn't get the same fragrance oils that they made, 10, 15 years ago, or they kind of dumbed it down and made it a little bit more palatable to the masses who didn't like either like the smoky or the dark aspect and just wanted, oh, like a cranberry fragrance. And so that's what it's been. Getting my nose on it this time though, it smells much closer to the Cranberry Woods that I know and love with a bit of that darker woods to it. So I'm gonna give it a try. I have not burned it yet, but let's talk about the fragrance itself. Notes are tart cranberry, cinnamon bark, forest cedar, and golden amber. Getting my nose on it, it does have that sort of amber that just like is kind of piercing but also warm, but really borderline powdery amber in there that is gonna be that mixture of sort of almost like a vanilla, but resinous as well. Powdery, sweet, sultry. The cedar is there. You've got kind of that camphoraceous, dark, resinous cedar wood. Cinnamon bark. Okay, well, frankly, cinnamon is the bark of a tree, so the cinnamon bark is no different than saying cinnamon, really, but bark, they're evoking woods. Okay, so maybe it's a little bit more rustic versus a red hot cinnamon that we get in a lot of cinnamon candles from Bath & Body Works. And it's there, but you wouldn't call it out. There's a spicy aspect to it, but it's not super obvious that it's cinnamon. I think the amber, kind of the powdery, sharp brightness actually of some of that amber and the spiciness that cedarwood can carry, it kind of plays with whatever cinnamon may be in there as well. It's kind of like a spicy woodsy. And then the cranberry on top, it doesn't really have quite that juicy juice aspect that it was having for a couple of years, I believe. Is it perhaps a bit duller or not quite as nuanced as the Cranberry Woods of years ago? It's kind of like listening to lossless audio versus, an MP3 that you ripped in 2002 that's like 128 kilobits. It's not quite that dull, but it's not quite as perhaps elevated as it once was. That said, not smelling side by side, this seems very much close enough to the original that it should work and evoke that same feeling in the space. If I do dig out my original that I have somewhere in storage, maybe I'll try to compare side by side. But frankly, it'll be good enough. It will work as long as it performs well. TBD on that. But I just do, I'd love to burn it now, but this really has to be a cooler fall evening to really just have that rich warmth, kind of like when you think of the Nest Autumn Plum that I really like. Similar as far as it's that dark, drippy fruits with some heavy woods to it. Not quite smokiness, but that really rich, resinous, spicy, woodsy with a bit of a dark fruit on top. Really kind of a perfect blend for the autumn time. And then our final one here is just a repurchase from something I try to get at least in the fall or in winter as like a good morning fragrance, which is freshly brewed coffee in that same packaging as our mixed berry crumble, where you have that stencil with the powdered sugar that just popped over there to leave that image. Notes on this one, well, we don't get notes. This is the rare one out of the entire year that it just has that old phrase story on it versus notes in the bottom, which I don't understand. But freshly brewed coffee, you're really getting coffee beans, perhaps a little bit of milk in there, but it's not so much a latte. They have a lot of coffee fragrances these days that they kind of play around with and repackage and switch the names, and it's a latte, it's a this, it's a that. The whipped coffee, most of them aren't great in my opinion. The two really popular ones are, of course, freshly brewed coffee and Paris Cafe, which I do have here. I want to do a bit of a side-by-side because I've said that these are so similar before, but I've never actually done them side-by-side. But this is as close to my favorite coffee fragrance, which was Espresso Bar. Very, very close to that from 2011 Italian collection. But it really does smell like, you know, not so much exactly freshly brewed coffee, more so some dark roasted coffee beans in the bag when you open them, which, yeah, that's close to freshly brewed coffee. But what's interesting about this is, and if you have this candle, get it and smell it, because I'm curious what you'd think. The depth or roasted, almost umami, savory aspect to this that is specific to this candle, I think, is it almost smells like soy sauce. If you have a bottle of soy sauce in your cupboard and you smell that deep, rich, salty, umami fragrance that soy sauce has, let alone the salty taste, it really comes out. There's a soy sauce scent to this. And it's something about the roasted depth in there. I'd be very curious what the true behind the scenes full list of notes are in this, because there's gotta be something that evokes the roasted scent profile, and it wouldn't surprise me if it was somehow soy related. But it also smells like, in general, a cup of fresh coffee. Now, comparing it to Paris Cafe, which funnily enough, I did not like this when it first came out. I've grown to appreciate it for what it is. It's got a bit more nuance to it. I've burned this a few times, so it's got a little bit of a dirty burn, a little bit of an off scent to it when it's cold now. But comparing the two, they are super similar, but there is, you know, sugared brioche vanilla creme. There's not so much of vanilla in here, but there's something that softens it beyond just like the beans or a drip cup or pot of coffee. This is a bit more the conceptual cafe where you're getting the coffee and you're getting, they claim, a sugared brioche, that super buttery, eggy bread, and a vanilla creme, maybe a little bit of milk froth, but not so much strong vanilla or heavily on a cream note. But that sugared brioche, I've always called it like a toasted brioche. Like there is sort of a nutty, bready aspect, but almost like it was left in the toaster or broiler just a little too long, it got kind of burnt. There is a burnt aspect to this, which maybe that's the coffee. But comparing the two, on cold, I almost lean towards the Paris Cafe now. Maybe I'm just used to it after burning it for the past year off and on, like some mornings, but because this one just smells very, now that I said soy sauce, I can't smell anything but soy sauce on this. Please comment, get this candle if you have it, any version of freshly brewed coffee, but maybe specifically this one too, and tell me, does it not smell like soy sauce to you? Hopefully when I light it, I can forget about that and actually smell the coffee that I'm supposed to smell in this, but it's kind of wild how my nose is tricking me that that's what I'm getting. But again, it's that umami, it's that roasted scent, that flavor that I'm sure it will come out as coffee. I might actually burn, I don't often layer candles much these days, but these two together could work with the berry and the coffee and have sort of that, you know, fresh fall morning, whatever it might be. Hopefully we get some fun vault or brand new fragrances coming from Bath & Body Works for the remainder of fall 2024. Let me know what you think of these, of any other fragrances that have come out that I have not purchased or reviewed. Let me know your thoughts, any questions you have, and until next time, take care.